If you really want to get ninja, if you want to sound like Mark, go into the shed and just play. Play as simply as you need to get that in your brain. And sit with that pain and that humiliation. Hey guys, I'm Nate and welcome to the 80/20 Drummer Lesson of the Week. If you're unfamiliar with the 80/20 Drummer, it's my YouTube channel that's dedicated to teaching you to play the drums better in less time by finding the small number of really important things and focusing on those. And today I'm going to teach you how to play more like Mark Guiliana. And I'm going to teach you using 3 tools that have sort of become a hallmark of my approach and my channel. The first is the minimum effective beat. The second is a concept I call microtime, which Mark actually uses in his own clinics. And the third is a concept I call the looping exercise. The template that we're going to use to get into Mark's playing more deeply is the tune 7 Ways. And if you're unfamiliar with that tune, just Google the phrase Mark Guiliana drum solo and it's the first Google result. It's a tune by Jason Lindner, the group Now Versus Now. And the particular recording we're going to deal with is the one from the Martin Conga Head channel. And I'm going to intersperse clips of me playing along with the track at various spots during this lesson. So let's start from the question we're trying to answer. And that's, we could sit down at Mark's kit and play along with the same musicians and record the tune. And it might sound good, but it probably wouldn't sound as good as Mark. And we're not trying to sound exactly like Mark in this lesson. We're trying to learn from what he practiced so that we can sound as good as he does in our own way. And one of the chief things he does really well is his time is extremely precise. So for this lesson, I'm going to take 3 examples of various beats from the tune 7 Ways and show you how to practice them in kind of a basic way, and then show you how to go deeper like Mark would. So to introduce the tune, 7 Ways is obviously in 7. And it's cleverly put together in a few different frames of 7. There's 7/2, there are a couple instances of 7/4, there are a couple instances of 7/8. But the basic pulse is basically just this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you'll see that in various spots during the tune and stretched out in various spots during the tune. But first of all, let's just work on why when Mark plays that, it sounds better than when we play it. And to do that, I'm going to use an exercise called microtime, and let me demonstrate that for you right now. Very first, I'm going to show you the basics of how you would practice this beat from day one. And that is, you would take out your metronome, you would set it for 7/4 with quarter note equals 200, and the subdivision is 8 notes. So it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, really quickly, I'm going to show you one wrinkle I like to put on that, and that is that you hear the accent on the upbeat of the beat. So let me show you. One, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that same beat in 7 with the metronome on the upbeat would sound like this. 5, 6, 7. So now I'm going to play an actual beat from the tune, which is the sort of military-ish march that Mark plays on the snare drum at various parts of the tune, such as roll tape. Okay, so to demonstrate the microtime initially, I'm going to start with a simplified version of that beat, which is going to look something like this. 5, 6, 7. And if you need a transcription of that, all of these transcriptions will be on my Instagram account. That's 8020drummer on Instagram, with the hashtag LOW, which is Lesson of the Week. So let me play that beat I just played for you with the metronome placement as we discussed before. 5, 6, 7. If that seems like a lot to bite off, it is, and it will become more clear as we get more deeply into the lesson. The first thing I want to talk about now is this concept called the minimum effective beat. Because right out of the gate, sight reading it off of a chart, if I put it in front of you and said 5, 6, 7, are you 110% sure you could play that cleanly exactly in time? If you could, you have no need for this lesson. And by the way, I can't without practicing. Okay, so how do you approach that? You approach it with the minimum effective beat, and that is taking the most basic kernel of the beat and starting with that and playing that well. So if the complete beat is 5, 6, 7, what's one thing we can do to make that simpler? Well, take the hi-hat out. The hi-hat complicates things. So let's try it now with only the hands and the right foot. 5, 6, 7. So let me play that for you with the metronome. 5, 6, 7. A lot easier, right? Practically anybody, even a beginner, could play this. Three strokes at the beginning, the bass drum and the right hand are lining up exactly. 2 strokes at the end, and you just use the metronome to tell you where to place them. So that's what I would call the minimum effective beat with that beat. Now, how are we going to evolve that into something more closely resembling what Mark played? We're going to do something I call the looping exercise, which means exactly what it sounds like. You will start with a beat and you'll make a loop as if you're a DJ, and you're going to loop that bit over and over again. And that's exactly what I was doing with this, 5, 6, 7. The only difference is about every 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to add one subtle variation, and that's going to be your new loop. So if the first part is 5, 6, 7, your second variation might be simply adding the hi-hat on the downbeat of the entire thing. So 5, 6, 7. You'd play that for 5 to 10 minutes or until it felt comfortable. And then maybe you would add another hi-hat note. 5, 6, 7. Etc., etc., and on and on. One little rule about the looping exercise is that it's okay to fuck up. You can try something and fail, but you just need to repeat that until you get it clean. So now let's put those elements together. We're going to use the looping exercise to start from the minimum effective beat, and we're going to use the metronome with the accent on the upbeat. And I'm going to stay on each variation for a second. whereas in real life you'd stay on each one for 5 to 10 minutes, or longer if you need. So this is variation 1, 5, 6, 7. Variation 2. Etc. I fucked up that last one. Okay, so those are the basic concepts. Now, that'll get you from where you are to playing a little bit cleaner and a little bit better. But how do you get to where Mark's doing? Where Mark's doing? How do you get to what Mark's doing? You have to go deeper. And now we're going to explore this concept, microtime. And what microtime means, to me at least, Mark has used it in a similar way in his clinics, but what it means to me is your brain is at least one level of subdivision deeper than what you're playing in real life. So what are we going to do? We're going to slow this beat down, and we're going to double the subdivision. So from 200 to the quarter note, we're going to go down to 180. And we're going to put the metronome on 16ths. By the way, this isn't going to be easy at first, and I recommend doing it as slowly as you need to. 5, 6, 7. So the key there is that the accent on the metronome is on the 16th upbeat. And what you're listening for is actually the metronome between your 8th note upbeat and your downbeat. So 4, 7, and 1. And if my left hand is the metronome, 7 and 1. You want to hear it there. You'll use the looping exercise to evolve that beat in the same way you would with the metronome clicking on 8ths. Now let's look at one more beat from the song and how we can apply the same method. Okay, the second beat we're going to use to examine Mark Guiliana's playing is the halftime songo rhythm in 7 that he plays with throughout the tune, but primarily during the A sections of the head. And we're going to roll the tape of me playing along with the recording. So, unlike the beat in the first half, this is felt in more of a halftime 7. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's more like 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But the underlying pulse is the same. Let me play you a basic sort of version of the skeleton of what this beat would sound like. 5, 6, 7. And again, all of these beats are going to be transcribed at the 8020 Drummer Instagram account. That's 8020 Drummer on Instagram, hashtag LOW for Lesson of the Week. So that's a good basic version of the beat, but let's apply these concepts of the minimum effective beat and the looping exercise again to get even deeper. So that version of the beat is good, but let's see if we can make it even simpler. One thing we can do is make both halves of the pattern exactly the same. So instead of we can just loop the original beat. So it would be. Again, the less we give your brain to think about at once, the more deeply it's going to absorb every concept. So another pesky thing to do in time for some people is this. It's kind of like a rudiment all its own. Did you see I just whiffed the hi-hat there? I'm like in expert village territory right here. Let's take the ghost note out. So we'll call that our minimum effective beat, and let me show you a couple of variations you might do if you were looping that exercise. Obviously, variation 1 is just going to sound like this. For variation 2, after 5 to 10 minutes, when that's feeling comfortable, you might just add those ghost notes back in. 5, 6, 7. And then, after that's comfortable, you might add that variation in the second half of the pattern. 5, 6, 7. So, what are we doing with our time when we're sitting on each of those variations for 5 to 10 minutes? You're looking for two things. Number one, cleanliness with your own playing, meaning when you have two limbs hitting at once, that you're not making a flam. You're not going. Flams are great when you're playing both sticks on one surface. They're not so great when you're trying to play simultaneously. So eliminating flams, making sure all of those things are happening at the same time when they're supposed to be. Number two is fidelity to the pulse and the time. And that's eventually what we're going to call feel. So let me demonstrate that again for you with the metronome this time. And this is 7/4, quarter note equals 200, clicking on eighth notes, and as we did before, with the accent on the upbeat. And you don't need to do that. You can put it on the downbeat to make it simpler, but I'll just show this to you. 5, 6, 7. Okay, notice I'm wearing a different outfit. Yeah, we're back on day 2. I'm not even trying to make it look like I recorded this all on one day. So that was my demonstration of the second thing you're going to be practicing during your looping, which is just fidelity to the pulse. These are just locked up and they're consistent. The distance between all of them is the same. This is the thing we call microtime. Okay, so again, to get to the real core of the why Mark Guiliana sounds better than us, the varsity version of this, the microtime, again, the subdivision in your brain at twice the speed of the subdivision you're actually playing at. And we're going to do that first by slowing it down to quarter note equals 180, 16th notes at 7/4. We'll try it like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and so on and so forth. So what you're looking at, again, what you're looking for, is that 30-second note upbeat in between your pickup and your downbeat. And it's a varsity thing, but if you master this, even with a super simple beat, like if you really want to get ninja, if you want to sound like Mark, go into the shed and just play. Play as simply as you need to get that in your brain, and sit with that pain and that humiliation. Not to go on too deep on it, but there's a Seth Godin concept called the dip, which says that the reason things are valuable is because they're scarce, and the reason they're scarce is because most people quit before they get to the end. And this is what makes sounding like Mark Guiliana valuable. Okay, guys, next lesson we are going to deconstruct some bits to the song, including What the Hell Is This? You guys who know the song know what I'm talking about. And the solo. So stay with us. Anywho, see you next week. Peace.